Okay, now let us continue with the third para. Okay, are you all ready? Page number 59 of the part 2 textbook. Equally unprecedented in the world's history is the size of the machinery and persuasion that has been set up in order to generate demand for this profusion of consumables. Without a doubt, global advertising today is the biggest and most sophisticated thought control project ever undertaken. Some statistics reveal the true extent of this phenomenon. Global advertising expenditures, according to Benjamin Barber, rose sevenfold from 1950 to 1990 from a modest $39 billion to $256 billion. Barber adds that per capita global spending went up from $15 in 1950 to nearly $50 in 1996. One single company, the hamburger giant MC Donald, spent more than $1.4 billion each year on advertising. All these figures are huge indeed and getting bigger all the time. Now the author is trying to give us an evidence of what really is happening in this consumerist market. You see there are three types of market: capitalist, socialist and mixed market. Now what is a capitalist market? Capitalist market refers to the freedom at which the companies and the consumers interact with each other in the market. That is, this market controllers are the consumers and the producers. If the producers produce what the consumers like, then the market value rises. But if the producers don't manufacture products according to the consumers like, then the market value falls. So this is a completely supply and demand chain. But when it comes to the socialist market does not refer to the profiteering. It does not refer to profit making. This type of market you can see in China and Russia, where the market is controlled by the government. The people of the country are forced to buy the government products, the government services. When it comes to the mixed market, like you can see it in the Indian market, the Indian market has both type of companies. The capitalist companies and the government companies that interact work together to increase the profit of the economy as well as for the welfare of the people. For example, Indian Railways Corporation or IRCTC is an organization. It has its own market, but it is not a market that is controlled by producers or consumers. It is controlled by the government for the welfare of the citizens. But if you see the tertiary markets such as ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Karur Vaishya Bank, they have their own marketing, okay, in which their profits, their losses are all controlled by the producers and the consumers in the market. Next, this famous author Benjamin Barber, he has written a book called Jihad versus Mac World, in which he tells that from sevenfold 1950 to 1990, it has increased from 39 billion to 256 billion. What has increased? The global advertising expenditures. Now, why did this increase from just 39 billion to 256 billion dollar? There is a reason. The consumers have brought these products at such a rate that these companies, without spending for advertising, they cannot run their business. You see, that is the way they are trying to hamper or impose a hegemony over the consumers as to make the consumers buy their products. So you can see this is an interlinked vicious chain which can be broken only by the collective efforts of individuals. I hope you are understanding what I am telling, right? Next, in the fourth para, he says, it is obvious then that unimaginingly Vast amounts of money and enormous resources are being spent worldwide in an all out effort to persuade people to become buying machines incapable of figuring out how much of all that stuff they really need. Now, many people say that America, Canada are very rich countries, right? But now, no, the author is trying to point out the real weakness of these countries. I was recently watching a YouTube video and it said that the American market mainly functioned out of these banks. Now, how did they perform? You see these many world famous banks of US, and I want you to collect some of these information about the world famous banks, like Lehman Brothers. So what they used to do is they used to go to every consumer and they used to show one house and they used to say, "Oh consumer, this house costs for 100, let's say 1 crore." But you know what was the actual cost of the house? It was just 50 lakhs. So what the banks used to do, they used to make the consumer buy the 50 lakhs house for 1 crore. Now it so turned that when the person took the loan from the bank, because they used to target the people who didn't have their own savings, so they used to borrow 1 crore from the bank and they used to buy the house. Now, what was their monthly salary? It was just around 10,000, 40,000, 50,000. Having $50,000 and borrowing 1 million, 10 million dollars of loans to buy a house that could cost for just $5 million, your the consumers ended up, or the buyers ended up, having double the amount spent. Due to this, what used to happen? The EMI of every month was above their capacity. Because it was above their capacity and their salary was below it, they ended up becoming bankrupt. The moment they became bankrupt, the houses used to be mortgaged. The houses used to be belong to banks because the person has mortgaged all his properties. Now the mortgaged properties they cannot be sold. Why? Because the value would have been depreciated. Now the consumers stopped buying these products because they came to know the vicious circle done by these banks. So the banks ended up becoming bankrupt. Neither could they procure the loan from the credit debtor, nor they couldn't sell the mortgage products or these mortgage properties for clearing their loan given to the debtor. In this way, the banks slowly became bankrupt in the big brother country US. That was how the Lehman Brothers bank collapsed. Many such banks collapsed, and investors of these banks, they went mad. The stock market shares, they started falling down. Now what they did, the banks went to the government and they said, if you don't give us this much money, okay, some billions of dollars, 700, 800 billions of dollars, we will not recover the amount of investors of these banks, and will make your country poor and bankrupt. The government got scared. It said you cannot make like this. So the government started funding these banks crores and billions of dollars together. In this way, these banks, not only they did the bankruptcy of the debtors, they also made the government more dependent on these banks for the economy to run properly. So this is the way that this consumerist culture, the consumers are being forced, they are given loans, they are made bankrupt, the banks ended up becoming loss, the companies or the banks will go to the government will spend on these companies and banks, and that is how the country of US is surviving. It is completely an economy built upon loan that can any time crash. you know if the consumers in US, they once come to know that this is crystal clear fraud happening on us, they will stop buying products. And when they stop buying the products, whether it is good or bad, the company and the total market value of a country in the international market will start falling. So this is what is happening to us. and the author is trying to point out this phenomenon into the very substantial evidence. I hope that you search for more information like this, okay, and relate it to your lesson. It will be very helpful, children. Okay, thank you, have a nice day. Hare Krishna.